Hello and welcome to this quick guide on how to turn your random price generator into a machine which turns things into bigger versions of themselves, which I'm coining the Embigginator, which is a phrase I've picked up from somewhere, not sure where, but there's probably a better, more technical term for what to call it. So the Embigginator is really similar to the random price generator in that it's a machine, and when you interact with that machine, it calls a function within a script that's attached to it. So attached to this machine here is this embiggen script. And if I open the script up, we can see that it calls this embiggen function. If I scroll up to where the onInteract event is, you can see it calls the embiggen function there. And this logic is really similar to the random price generator. What it does is it gets hold of the player inventory, the player that just interacted with the machine, and then it tries to remove one of whatever the accepted item template is from their inventory. If it succeeds in doing that, as in if the player has one or more of those accepted items in their inventory, then that will return true, which gets stored in this hasAcceptedItem variable. If the player doesn't have one of these in their inventory at all, that will return false, and that gets stored in here too. And then this if statement just checks, does the player have this template within their inventory? So if that was true, then play a sound and spawn an item. If it was false, then these two lines of code will be completely ignored and nothing will happen. So it won't even play a sound. When we spawn the item, it's essentially spawning a larger version of the same item over here on this collection point here, just using a locator which I've added there. When it comes to the larger versions, that's really down to your creative control. If you take a look at the mesh library, you'll see there are lots of things where you can have a small and large version of the same entity. So here we have a sandwich, and then there's also a sandwich jumbo. If we look at spoon, there's a small spoon and a larger spoon. So the same sort of thing. You essentially could make it so that lots of different items can be turned into bigger versions of themselves. One of the great things about this way of working is that you can add multiple versions of the same script to the same entity. When you interact, it will call the embiggen function on all of them. And here you can see that it's taking the accepted item of little cog and returning the medium cog item. And here you can see it's taking the medium cog item and returning the big cog item. Hopefully this quick guide has been helpful about how you might be able to make an Embigginator in Crayta.